After budgeting with YNAB for 11 years, I'm now using Qube. Let me tell you why and show you how it all works. If you haven't subscribed yet, click the subscribe button and hit the little bell so you get notified each time I post a new video about making your money work for the life you most want. This year, my husband and I have switched from budgeting with YNAB to budgeting with Qube, and it has saved us so much time and money. Now let's be honest, I've always loved budgeting, but Qube has even gotten my husband on board. Check out this text from him just a couple of weeks ago about budgeting with the Qube app and how much more confident he feels. So what is Qube? Qube is a digital cash envelope budgeting and banking solution. And if you've been around the finance space for a while, or you've been looking for the right way to budget, you might be thinking there are a ton of apps that do this already. Why would we use Qube? Well, first of all, we have our budgeting apps over here, right? The YNABs and the Every Dollars. And these are letting you set up your envelopes for cash online, but it's not tied at all to the way you spend your money. So you still have to put in your transactions or categorize your transactions after the fact. It doesn't stop you from spending money if it's not in your budget. So there's that. Then we have the digital cash envelope banks, the other ones that exist. And the way those accounts work is that they look really pretty and they have a lot of great features. And for some people that they're the right features. But your spending envelope in these resources is only one envelope. So you can set other categories for things like bills, but when you go out and use your debit card, you're really only having one big spending account. So you can't think about different envelopes for the different places you spend, which is how cash envelopes really work. This is where Qube is unique. With Qube, you're going to open an FDI insured bank account. Then you're going to create cubes for the categories you most often spend on. My husband and I started with our 10 categories where we're most likely to be out and about spending money. And you're going to put money in those envelopes. However, your card on a daily basis has no money on it until you go into the app and turn on that cube. Then the money from that cube is immediately funded to your card. You make a transaction and whatever is remaining is put back in your cube. So you have to actually select the envelope you're going to use, and you can only spend money if there is money in that envelope or cube. This makes budgeting so simple. As my husband and I started to use Qube, we found so many reasons that we love it. But for the sake of keeping this video not super long, I'm going to narrow it down to my 4 favorite reasons that I love Qube. The first is that it's proactive instead of reactive. Anytime you're using a budgeting app or a budgeting tool or even just pen and paper, you are reconciling what you've spent and how much money you have after the fact. This is why sometimes you sit down to do your budget on Friday and you realize, oh my goodness, again I overspent on groceries, or again I overspent on clothes, and you're trying to fix it after the fact. With Qube, because you're making that cube selection, you're opening that cube in the moment, you know that that money is there, and if there's not money available, you either need to change your priorities and shift money from one cube to another, or just realize you can't make that expense and it stops it before the transaction happens, before you're trying to fix it after the fact. This is the reason that cash envelopes have worked for so many people, except for the fact that they're incredibly difficult to manage. Nobody wants to carry cash around, and of course that's a major security risk. And so I love that Qube gives you the ability to be proactive while also being secure. That second reason, security, is big there too. When you think about using a debit card for your spending, especially as more cards have had Visa and MasterCard markers on them where you don't have to use your PIN every time you spend, debit cards can be kind of risky. If you lose it, that money can be spent right out of your bank account. With Qube, your card has a zero balance all the time. And so if someone took this card, they couldn't actually spend any money unless I opened the Qube. And so that's a huge security feature as well. And you don't have overdrafts. The way the Qube card works, if there is no money on the card, or you haven't opened a Qube, or there's not enough money in the Qube, it'll just deny the transaction and you can try again. Actually, when you haven't opened a Qube and you try a transaction, it pops up on your phone and gives you an alert that says, a transaction has been tried at Barnes & Noble or wherever you are. There's not a Qube open. Would you like to open a Qube? And it really makes this whole thing secure, easy, and great to follow. My third reason that I love Qube is that our budget is now always accurate. It's not dependent on whether or not I've remembered to go in and update those transactions. It doesn't matter if I've been on vacation and have forgotten for a week or two to go in it is just up to date because it is immediately reconciling that expense. It is taking money out of your Qube and putting what's left back in there. This is huge, right? To keep my husband and I on the same page, we had to make sure that our YNAB budget, our old budget, was consistently updated every day, because otherwise he could be in the grocery store without realizing that I went to the grocery store 2 days ago and he's getting extra things for a barbecue or something fun where he didn't realize we had already spent our extra money in our grocery budget that month, right? And so this is a way for us to always just be able to open our apps and see exactly how much money is left, and we feel so much more in control, which is actually my fourth point, that my husband and I are just more on the same page. He is not traditionally the one who manages our budget, but he now sends me texts like this one that I mentioned earlier, that he does feel in control, that he goes into a store, he goes to get gas in his car, or he goes to get something fun for the boys, and he knows money is there. He's not wondering if we missed a transaction updating the budget or that we didn't reconcile correctly in the budget. He's not worried about, hey, we haven't had a budget meeting in the last week or two and now I'm a little out of control. We are just on the same page. We are making decisions together, and it is a fantastic, beautiful thing. We are loving using Qube. Staying on the same page and making sure our budget was updated all the time was one of the things my husband and I have struggled with budgeting with in the past. So I'm curious, how have you struggled with budgeting? Tell us in the comments. So how does Qube actually work? How do we combine budgeting and banking in a way that helps us manage our money in alignment with what we most want? Let's get right into my app and I'll show you exactly how it works. So first off, we're going to open Qube, and it's going to do a little face authorization for me and open right into our Qube account. This is what it looks like when you log in to all your Qubes. But now what's going to happen is we're going to go over to funding your Qubes, because that's what we have to do first to be able to spend. Any money you spend is going to come out of your Qube cloud. So until you fund that cloud, you can't fund your Qubes and you can't spend money. So the way you do that is in the upper right hand corner right here. We're going to click and it's going to show us all the different ways we can spend money. We can do an internal transfer, which is transferring money between Qubes or from your Qube cloud into an account or back out of a Qube, okay? Direct deposit, which is standard like a bank, ACH deposit, which is moving from another bank account you might have, and then card deposit. Now, card deposit is pretty cool. If you have the free basic account, this only works one time. But if you have the premium account, you can do this an unlimited number of times. And basically, you just enter your debit card account from another bank, and it'll allow you to create a transaction to instantly deposit money into your Qube cloud. For your other bank, it just looks like a transaction just like you went to CVS. So there's no fee involved, and it means you can get money instantly into your account. Then you can also do free peer-to-peer transfers and ACH transfers. But for now, I've got $300 in my Qube cloud, so let's allocate that. I'm going on vacation soon, so let's find our family fun budget and put some $200 in there for our expenses. So I'm typing in $200, I hit save. Now I've got $100 left. We're looking a little light on groceries for this part of the month, so let's add another $100 and hit save. Now we're adding $300, which is equal to what I have in the Qube. So I'm going to click Fund Qubes. And now those two Qubes have more money on it, and I can go spend that money. Now, like I said earlier, our Qube card usually only has $0 on it. You need to actively open a Qube to make something happen, to be able to spend that money. So let's say you're at the grocery store. You're going to click on your grocery store Qube. You're going to hit Open Qube. And now for the next 30 minutes, all the money that's in your grocery store Qube is on your Qube debit card until you make a transaction. Once you make a transaction, it'll subtract the amount of the transaction from what was in your Qube and put the remainder back in your Qube and close your card. Once again, your card will have zero amount. Now, if you're worried about having service in the grocery store or something like that, you can change the automatic close options. You can extend the time to say, listen, I want this Qube to be opened for 2 hours because I want to open it before I go into the grocery store. Anytime you change the automatic close options, though, you're going to want to decide whether or not you want your card to close after purchase. Most of the time, you will. But let's say you're at the farmer's market, for instance, and you're going to go to a number of different stands. You're going to make transactions, and they're all going to be within your grocery budget. So you could leave that open so that it doesn't close automatically. But most of the time, we want it to close, so let's set it to close and close it down. Now, my full $258 balance is on my card until I make a transaction. I'm going to close it because I'm not actually shopping right now. And then I want to show you some other features that are super, super helpful within the Qube app. And now we got to talk about the most important thing anytime we're talking about a money management system, which is how much does all this cost? These Qube features are amazing, but what does it cost to use the app? Well, you can get started completely for free. Their basic plan gives you a no-fee bank account, up to 10 cubes, the ability to use Apple and Google Pay and peer-to-peer transfers, and also things like subscription controls and default zero technology. All that means is that you'll never be able to have a default and an overdraft, which results in a bunch of fees, because instead, Qube's card will just decline the payment if you don't have the money on the card or on your Qube to make that transaction. Personally, my husband and I are on the premium account, which gives you everything from basic plus unlimited cubes, the ability to have joint accounts and recurring transfers, instant card deposits, which is what we were talking about earlier, where you can use a debit card from another account and instantly put money into your cubes if you needed to fill a gap. And we love that. It's currently $6.50 per month, which when you combine the fact that this is going to be replacing things like Truebill and anything to manage your subscriptions, bill paying services, and your budgeting app that you may or may not be using, $6.50 a month is amazing for this service. They'll also be adding new features down the road. Now, there's a level that hasn't yet been released that is called the family level. This is going to be $11.50 a month and will probably be out by the end of the summer. This is something that my family is going to be moving to because it gives you up to 10 kid accounts. And you can have the difference between kid cards, teen cards, and adult cards. And that's going to let you manage allowance, let your kids manage money, have parent permissions on what your kids can do. And we'll have parent view so you can actually see what your kids have in their accounts, how they're spending their money, and it gives you some oversight on that. I also love that it's going to have in-app money requests so your kids can request extra money if, let's say they're out for friends and they realize they're going out to dinner with their friend's family and they need a little extra money, they can do in-app money requests and you can immediately fund that. That is going to be an amazing resource. But for right now, you can get started for free. You can click the link below this video, download the app, and instantly set up your first 10 cubes and just see how you like it. I think you're going to love it. But before I let you go, I got to show you some of the features that we above and beyond have loved with Qube. Let's check it out. Now, just the ability to track our cubes and have this digital cash envelope system that actually works with our cards and stops us before we make an expense is enough of a reason to fall in love with Qube. But there were a few specific features that we think will have you loving Qube too. The first is the pre-authorization feature. So, this could be used if you have a transaction that's going to be happening in the future. For example, we have a Grove Collaborative membership, which is how we get our monthly house cleaning supplies and all our eco-friendly things for our home. So when I check our Grove Collaborative part before the order comes in a few days later, I will put a pre-authorization into Qube to tell it to open our household goods Qube just for Grove. But you can also use it for lifestyle planning. So here's a quick example. Let's say we have our family fun budget, we're going on vacation soon, and we want to go to mini golf and get ice cream. We know we're going to do that at some point during our trip, but we don't know when. And we don't want a situation where we spend all our money in our family fun budget and we don't get to go to mini golf, right? So I'm going to come in, I'm going to click pre-authorization, I'm going to put in $50 into that account, I'm going to type mini golf and ice cream, and I'm going to hit save. What this does is it creates a pending payment within Qube, and it automatically reduces our available Qube balance by that amount. Now, the only money I can spend until that pending payment comes through or I close it is the money minus that amount. So we are automatically planning and only showing money that we're not already planning to spend, right? So we use this, for example, with dining out with friends. If we get invited to go out with friends, we put it in our dining out budget ahead of time, even if it's 2 weeks from now, so we know that in 2 weeks we haven't spent our dining out budget and we're ready to do it. So I love this pre-authorization feature. It lets me do a little bit of extra planning, and it lets me take things like my Grove Collaborative membership that are variable, but lets me set them aside early on. The second feature that I cannot live without is anyone who's been a YNAB user in the past knows how much of a pain in the butt Amazon orders are, because Amazon does not process your payment right away, and it all comes into any kind of budgeting software you use, whether it's YNAB or Mint, as Amazon. And then you're stuck wondering, what was that? How much was it? What was it for? And then you're trying to reconcile your account, right? It's a pain in the butt. With Qube, you can actually set Amazon orders. So check this out. Here's our Henry and George budget for the boys. Let's say we were buying him a new toy, so we open the Qube, and instead of just leaving the Qube open like normal, we hit Amazon purchase. And under Amazon purchase, we put in the exact amount. This is going to include taxes, so this is the amount you're seeing at Amazon checkout, and you're going to hit save. What this is going to do is going to move money directly from the Henry and George Qube into your Amazon bills Qube. and it will automatically approve an expense of exactly that amount from your Amazon Qube. But what you are seeing in whatever Qube you were spending that Amazon money from is that transaction. So we're reducing the amount of the expense for this example, Henry and George, by $27.52. We're reducing what's available for them. We're putting it in his Amazon account, and Qube will handle settling that transaction for us. It means that our Amazon purchases are dealt with ahead of time. We know exactly what Qubes those Amazon purchases are coming from, and Qube is going to clear it for us without us having to wonder whether or not the Qube is going to be open for that transaction. This has been an amazing feature, and I absolutely love it. The thing is, the Qube is still ramping out new features all the time. Some of the features that are going to be coming out in the next 3 to 4 months are ones that I am super excited about. Their Bills Qube feature is going to be an incredible resource. This is going to allow you to create a Qube in a specific Bills tab for your Netflix bill, for your mortgage, and set the exact amount of that bill and when that bill is normally drawn so that Qube can approve only that transaction. What's cool about that is that for things like Netflix and subscription services that sometimes make it kind of hard to cancel, where you're making phone calls but only between the hours of 9 and 2 on the second Tuesday of the month to cancel, you can just close that Qube. And that way they can no longer draw the account. You don't have to worry about transactions coming through after you think you've canceled because you can just close your Qube. That's going to be amazing. Personally, we're almost ready for Henry to move to a card-based allowance system. And so hopefully by the time the school year starts, Qube is going to be rolling out their kid cards and allowance cards. This is when my family is going to be upgrading to that family level of Qube so that we can have cards for the boys and they can manage their money the same way. And this helps them learn how to budget with restriction, right? They get to see that they don't get to spend their card unless they look and see what's available in their Qube and turn it on. And if there's not enough there, they don't get to make the transaction. It's an amazing introduction to digital money, which most of our kids are going to have to manage as adults. They're also going to be rolling out savings Qubes and shared Qubes with roommates or friends or family members if you're working on a saved goal, and that is going to be an incredible resource. There are so many new things with Qube, but really that core ability to set your monthly budget, to set your spending Qubes, and only spend that money when you are actively making the decision to allocate that money to that purchase is just amazing. It is stopping us before impulses can lead to overspending, and that is an absolutely beautiful thing. So, is Qube right for you? Just like we always say at Smart Money Mamas, it depends. What money management system is going to work for you and your family is going to depend on your personality, your values, and your goals. I can tell you that personally for me in my household, Qube has saved us a ton of time updating budgeting transactions, a ton of money overspending when we just didn't communicate quite perfectly between my spouse and I, and now we can always see exactly what's happening in our budget. I am so excited to use Qube for years to come, especially as their new features continue to roll out this summer, and we can really have this as an all-in-one place where my husband and I manage our spending money, our boys manage our money, and really as a family just always be making conscious, proactive choices with how we spend our money so that we can use money as a tool to continue to build the life we most want to live. Ready to change your money life with Qube? Click the link below to download the app today and get started for free. And be sure to like this video and click subscribe so you can learn more about aligning your money with what matters most to you. I'll see you next time.